How's it going, everybody? DJ K DuB Omaha, Wired Axcess podcast with the All Axcess Granted.
I didn't want that to be the standard. I didn't want someone else in the room to set the standard. I always wanted to do that.
The journey to get there, I think, is something, that is amazing, Nick.
Let's get this podcast started.
That is right. Welcome to another Wired Axcess, All Axcess Granted. I'm your host, DJ K DuB Omaha. Today we are welcoming a future Florida Gulf Coast athlete that is committed there, a current Papio South Titan, two-time champion back-to-back, Lyric Judson. Welcome to the show, Lyric. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
Oh, the volleyball in Nebraska just keeps on rolling. And of course, you guys make it look so easy sometimes. But I think what people don't realize is the hard work, the dedication, the lifestyle decisions, the hard decisions, especially with choosing that next level decision. So I welcome you to the show. Of course, you guys are a well-known, we could say it, powerhouse volleyball school in the state of Nebraska, two-time back-to-back champion. That freshman year for you, of course, not a lot of girls, especially in Papio South, get the opportunity to play at a young age for a team like that, because you are just sitting there reproducing hard workers, hard dedicated athletes. When you look back at your career at Papio South so far these past 3 years, and you think of even making the choice to what high school you were going to go to, what was that like for you in 8th grade of deciding where you were going to go? Is it as easy as, I'm in the neighborhood, this is where we're going to go? Is it one of those where you and your parents looked for a coach and said, hey, here's where I want to go? I could speak out of general what we did. We were Bellevue East slated. We looked for another opportunity for my oldest before she hit high school. So no one can say anything about a transfer portal or any of this, that, or the other. What was it like for you coming up before you got to high school?
Yeah. So I live in the district. I've always lived in the district. I think my family, we're very we're not really that type of family to go to another school based off sports or anything like that. So since I am in the district, that I knew that's where I was going for a long time. My mom actually used to coach at Papio South, so I was kind of already there before I was even born, honestly. So I've been here for a while, and as I've gotten to go through the program, I've seen a lot of their different coaches, and I end up with Coach Tarman, and that's great. So yeah.
Of course, you come in your freshman year, where do you think expectations were for you at such a young age to have that opportunity, even to get an opportunity as a freshman?
Yeah, I think expectations for me were kind of unknown as I first stepped onto the court for tryouts. I don't think they actually knew where I was going to be. I didn't know where I was going to be. I just had to kind of play my game. But I was on varsity. It was a great year. Expectations as a team were really, really high, though, I think. And obviously we did not end that season the way we wanted. But as a whole, I think expectations as a team were high. Expectations for me personally, I think that they were pretty high just based on the team I was on. And that was kind of a challenge I had to accept.
So, of course, getting those early challenges for yourself and being a part of course, a premier volleyball AAU as well outside of Papio South just adds to that pressure. When you think of your volleyball and you think of just even your early freshman and you think of your travel with premier, what makes it such a dedication that you want to give at such a young age that you already knew that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think I just fell in love with the game really early on. Like I said, my mom was coaching, so I would go to practice with her, and that's kind of how I fell in love with the game at first. And then as I did start my club, start my journey at Premier, I think the girls, the teammates that I have now, the teammates that I had even when I was 12, they're all my best friends. And I think that kind of keeps my drive going. And I think at Premier, they have a really, really great coaching staff that is always going to work with you, always going to give you the best. I think for me, that just shows above and beyond. And I think that just makes me want to keep playing and keep going, even not for myself, but for the people around me.
When you think of even that, you, of course, have stated, you were around the game at such a young age. Who's some of the other players that you kind of looked up to that maybe they were on some of the similar journey that you were, that whether they were a Titan or whether they were for another school, that you remember that kind of, these are the people that I could follow in those footsteps and I can do what they're doing and kind of see where I want to go.
Yeah. So my mom was there when the Rolfson twins were at Papio South. And so I was young, but I do still remember them. Like I would hang out with them at practice. And so I just remember that being really fun. And obviously they went to Nebraska, which is a great, great thing. And I just remember them like looking up to them because I thought they were the coolest people ever. And I still think they're the coolest people ever. So them is definitely one. And another one's probably Morgan Bodie and Lauren Medic. I knew them my freshman year and they just always worked really hard. And freshman year, they were kind of the ones that brought me in. So yeah.
And if you look at the recruiting process that you have been on, of course, you know, when you are starting at such a young age as a freshman, do you feel like that adds to that tension of having to look ahead 3, 4 years down the road? Or do you think it's something that you were able to slowly just grab onto? Because of course, you're in front of so many eyes with playing for Premier. You're in so many eyes and playing for Papio South. You have kind of the best of both worlds when you're wanting the eyes on for what you do.
Yeah. I think for me it was I kind of had to learn about like how recruiting worked in the first place because I think it's a really hard thing to grasp and it is like a really big pressure on you because you do have to decide like where you want to go in the next however many years so young I think. But I mean, it's kind of like another like again a challenge you have to kind of accept and like if you do want to go to the next level like it's going to be hard, there's going to be pressure, there's going to be eyes on you. You kind of have to accept it and just keep going because if that's what you really want, then you got to keep going for it. So
Now, of course, a lot of the girls ahead of you, and along with yourself, you girls are one of the top teams in the state, but you're finding your homes for college outside of the state. Would you consider that something, either the recruiting process in state, no colleges, I'm not talking about any single one, but if you just look across the way for Papio South girls and outside, or would you just say it's something where you guys want to take the love and the passion that is in Omaha and in Nebraska in general for volleyball, and you guys just want to go see what you can be outside of the state and be a part of something bigger than you?
yeah. I think for me personally, it was I did want to get out of the Midwest. I think I've been here my whole life. I do kind of want to branch out. I'm very much like that adventurous, like I really want new experiences type of person. And so for me, like going far was something I really wanted to do. As for my teammates, I don't know exactly their stories, but I know that them going far was like a fun experience for them too, and they just really wanted to enjoy that. And so I think as a whole, like the new experiences is just really cool.
Of course, when you think back to these past 2 years, you know, you guys have had championship runs. What do you think has been the hardest thing to keep during those 2 years consistent amongst you and the girls? And what do you think is something that you feel you guys have been able to take and run with to show that this can be 2 years? Who knows what's going to happen for your senior year, but obviously that's still your goal.
Yeah. I think for us, this especially last season to this season, us working hard was honestly kind of a struggle for us at the beginning. We had summer workouts and we would work hard there and then we got to practice and it was kind of like our effort was low, our energy was low. And so we did have to have a really like a big tough conversation like if we want to win, like we cannot keep doing this. So we had to make a really quick switch with that so that we could get back to our level. And then I think one thing that was really easy for us to keep consistent was our culture. I think Papio South has a really, really good culture. I think we obviously have issues. Every team has their own issues, but I think overall, like every single year from freshman to my junior year now, I have made new friends and they're all my best friends. Like we have group chats, we still talk in those same group chats from my freshman year. So like just the way that I can bond with girls that I just met or are continuing to get to know throughout my years is just really special and I think I'll always have that here.
Of course, with your Premier girls, you guys are going across the country traveling and putting Nebraska continuously on the map. What's your favorite thing about the travel AAU that you don't get to experience in the season for high school? Because you guys have also done some traveling for high school that other high schools will never even get to even
Yeah.
think they could experience.
Yeah. I think for club, it's more like when we go out of town, we get to go to new restaurants. We get to go to we went line dancing last year in Dallas. Like those really, really fun, like kind of new experiences that we don't get to have here in Omaha when we go to school. Are just really fun with my club teammates, and especially since we do like all go to different schools for my club team, it's just really cool to get all of us together and like we have different experiences in high school even. So just being able to kind of do fun new things together in different states is a really fun thing to do.
Of course, when you look at the experiences so far that you've gotten to have, what's one of your most memorable on the court, whether it is in your club or in your high school, that you just can look back and go where maybe you were and where you are today and notice the difference and the fun that you could still have? Because I think in the game of volleyball, if you can't have fun as you continue to get older and continue to add to your plate, then it might not be for you. And I think that's sometimes where some athletes might burn themselves out on it.
Yeah. I kind of just instantly thought to like my sophomore year. I don't even remember what the drill was called, but it was during high school. We were doing this really fun drill, and it was really competitive. And like sophomore year, that team was a very competitive team, and sometimes it got to the point where we were like screaming at each other. But like this time, it was like in a fun way, and so I just remember all of us like screaming at each other because we really wanted to win. And I just think for me that was the like best moment because I loved all those girls out there, but I was like kind of beefing with them because I wanted them to lose and me to win. But I just think it was a really exciting moment, and I could just tell like that all of them love each other and that our relationships were just so good.
You know, I'm glad that you brought up the inner competition. I think sometimes when it does come to good teams or the fact that, everybody wants to play, everybody wants to be a part of it, but knowing your role and knowing how you can impact your team is what is a championship team. When you look across the board, what has changed in your game that you've had to change these past 2 years? Because it's not the same every year over and over what key play you have to be.
Yeah. I think as I've grown, like the competitive side has definitely came out in me way more. I think when you're younger, it's easy to kind of just play for fun. But when you get to like high school, especially my freshman year, like I had to learn to grind. I had to learn to like, oh no, we're winning this game. Like, okay, we're down by 10. Okay, like we're still winning. I think just that aspect of it. And over the years, I think I've just gotten a little bit more and more competitive, which is definitely a good thing, I think, just for building my character on the court and like challenging my teammates to make them better too. Um, so yeah, overall, like just being more competitive, being more driven to win is definitely something that I've learned from my past teammates, and I can carry it out.
If you look between your AAU and your high school and you think of just the fact of there's good things on both sides, there's things that, of course, that you want to maybe not utilize or maybe not use. How do you adjust who you are to the different coaching styles and also the different expectations to what AAU might have for you and what high school has for you?
Yeah, I think high school as a whole, at least Papio South volleyball, tournament expectations are here, and if you don't meet them, like it's not going to be very fun for you. So I did have to learn to kind of like, even if I don't maybe necessarily agree with it, at the end of the season I definitely agree with her. But like maybe at the beginning I didn't agree with her, and I just had to learn like put my head down, work, get to where I want to be, get to where my teammates need me to be, and overall just kind of work a little harder. For club, I would say our expectations are still high, but I wouldn't say as high. So it's a little different because in club I think I get to like mess around a little bit more while still like getting the job done, being focused, like getting better. But I think the expectations are just very different, and knowing when I'm with Coach Tarman and need to work really hard, knowing when I am with club and I still need to work hard, but I guess the expectations aren't as high. Yeah. But I don't take that as like an excuse in club to like not get better. I obviously work just as hard. It's just different with like the coaching styles and the people that I'm with.
Well, and I mean, you got to think about it. When you guys go to those big tournaments, I mean, especially the ones in Florida, I mean, it's what, 150 plus teams that you're going up
Mhm.
against.
Yeah.
How do you kind of rate where you guys stand when you look at, of course, for high school, you're going for the championship, and don't get me wrong, in AAU you're going for the championship as well. There's an opportunity. But when things might not go that way, how do you judge your rating on what you guys have really accomplished in the AAU circuit? And
Yeah.
how do you make it to realize for you that it's still just more the reps that you're getting more than it is where the whole team is placing. Yes, you guys want to be up there, but it's obviously getting those swings that a lot of girls aren't still getting day in and day out.
Yeah. Club is definitely, I think, more competitive than high school, just because you're playing teams from all over the country. So I think for us, every club season, like we want top 20. Every year we want top 20. That's a really good number when you're looking at club volleyball. So that's our goal every year. Just the competitive level is extremely high in club, which I love because that's the most fun part, I think, is competing against different types of people because you're never likely to play the same team twice in club because there's just so many club teams out there, which I think is a great opportunity. So top 20 is definitely what we aim for, and we work hard in practice to kind of try and accomplish that.
Of course, when you're doing these travel, you probably have already done an Orlando trip or not. How impactful was that for you to start to possibly look down there for a college? And how did even Florida get on your radar for that? Besides being so far away from home that you wanted.
Yeah. I think for me, so my recruiting process was a little bit maybe not as fun as people think the recruiting process is. I kind of had like a dead point, and so I kind of sat down with my parents and I was like, okay, we're gonna get this back rolling because I really wanted to play the next level. I started emailing a ton of schools, and Florida Gulf Coast was one that was mentioned to me by actually my club coaches. They said that they think I'd really like the coaches there and that that environment would be really good for me. So I reached out to the FECU coaches and we started talking. I went on my visit, and I think that just really secured it for me. Overall, I didn't know how far I was gonna go like before my recruiting process started. I just know that I didn't want to be here. So I mean, I went there. I really loved it, and I just kind of fell in love with it at that point, and that's where I landed.
Of course, having those thoughts already in your mind, did you get offers from around here that at least made you know that people around here are seeing what the Titans are doing? Or was it a matter of, I'm not even going to listen to anything around here? I don't even want to hear it if someone offers it. What was it like for you?
So I actually didn't even reach out to schools in the Omaha, Nebraska area. I actually did. I think I reached out to one, and then I kind of decided that's like I do not want to be here. Like I don't want to be here. So I kind of told them that I'm like I didn't want to be here. So I did reach out to schools kind of around Nebraska just in case I wanted like that safe coat, that like safety jacket in case I went on a visit. I do not want to be this far. Like I had something to kind of fall back on. I had an offer pretty close to home, I guess you could say. That was my closest one to home. The rest were everywhere else. So, but I had one that was kind of like I liked that school. It wasn't like a bad school at all. But in the end, FECU was just my choice.
Did you get to do an official visit down there for Florida Gulf Coast, or did you take any official visits?
I took 3 or 4, I believe, official visits. FECU was an official visit. Yeah.
And when you look at those official visits, what was some things that you really liked about official visits, and what was some things that maybe pushed you one way or the other? No schools needed, just kind of giving the idea for these recruits. When you look at it, it's not always going to be the proper feeling you're going to get from these all wine and dine, because anybody could take you and show you all the world, but it's how do they make you feel like you're still going to be a part of something similar to home.
Yeah. I think for me, when I went on my official visits, I really wanted to kind of get to know the coaches and get to like, because if I'm going to be there for 4 years, they kind of have to be like my family. So like that family aspect was definitely like a big thing for me. How like well were the coaches interacting with my parents? How well were they interacting with me? Everything like that. I also really wanted like honest coaches, like honest about their program, honest about their girls, and honestly, all my visits did all of those things. I think as a whole, official visits can become hard because I mean, honestly, they're really tiring. You're getting a ton of information from these schools in like 1 or 2 days. But I think at the same time, it's really good because like they are loading you with information, but that information is very useful in making your decision. So I think it's really important. Overall, official visits, I liked all of mine, honestly. It was really hard to make a decision, but I did enjoy all my visits.
When you look at the volleyball opportunities outside of state, and you look at what was some of the things that had to be check marked for your box besides far from Nebraska?
Yeah.
What was some of
Honestly,
those
that
things
one.
that you
Yeah.
really were very important to you?
Yeah. So I wanted out of the state. I wanted like a good competitive program. I think some programs like maybe aren't as competitive, and that's completely fine. That's just not the school for me. So I did want a really competitive program. I wanted a school with a little more diversity. I think just coming from the Omaha area, coming from where I live specifically, like it's not the most diverse area. So for me, getting out, the whole team, I mean, a lot of the team at FGCU right now is from out of the country actually. So there's a lot of like foreign students, which I really, really like. I think that's so cool. So that definitely drew me there. And then I really wanted like a good coaching staff, and I think that's why official visits really helped me because I could see their coaching staff. I could see how well their players interacted with their coaching staff, and just like reeled me in really well.
Of course, there is a lot of opportunity inside and outside of volleyball. How important was the education for you as far as making sure that they had a program that you're looking for? And if so, what is that program?
Yeah, I think for me, education is like a really big top thing. Um, I think like as a whole education is really important, but I was focused on the volleyball aspect, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I think every college has like good education programs. So being able to go to FGCU, and they do have really good actually educational programs, especially in the things that I want to kind of pursue. So that's something I was really excited about.
What's your pursuit outside of volleyball? Go ahead.
Well, actually, okay, interesting. My pursuit, like what I am interested in, is very broad. But like when I went on my visit, I asked them about these specific programs, and they gave me, like their papers for all those. So, criminal justice is something I'm very interested in. Social
Nice.
work, and then education.
Okay, nice little wide variety. That
Yeah.
one thing that I love about all three of them though is it screams community. And when
Yes.
you think of what you're constantly looking and enjoying is the community amongst your teammates here at Papio South, your teammates amongst Premier, and your future teammates at Florida Gulf Coast. And when you think of that part and that aspect, what makes lyrics so easy to be able to change and adapt and adjust to the surroundings of those teammates? And especially like you said, you're looking for a little more adversity. Of course, the different cultures that would be in ones that are international players. What's that for lyric? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a pretty open person. I'm not very what's that like introverted. I'm pretty extroverted. I like talking to people. I love learning new things. I love like different cultures. I'll eat like any type of food. So I think for me, like being that like open person that can get to know everyone without like feeling embarrassed or anything like that is something that comes really easy to me, which I guess works in my favor a lot. But yeah.
When you look at these past 2 years and the championship runs that you've had with your teams, what do you think was the number one thing that has led to that success for you guys? And what's the number one thing that you think you might need to work on this next year a little bit harder, because not all the girls, of course, are coming back. You have some that are graduating. I think role players are going to always make and adjust what you can or can't do.
Yeah. I think for us, over the years, we've had a really good leadership. I can think of every single year. The leaders that we've had have been very good at guiding everyone in the same direction. Freshman year was probably Lauren Medic, Morgan Bodie. Sophomore year was probably Chloe Livingston and Charlie Solomon. I think this year I was actually on like the captains, and it was like me and Cami and Ella and Danny. So I think for all of us, like the leadership over the years has been very, very impressive with what we can accomplish and what we can like kind of guide the younger people and honestly our the whole program, not just varsity, to kind of accomplish for our entire program. I think one thing that we will probably need to work on. That's a good question, actually. I mean, there's a lot we can work on, but I think the biggest thing, honestly, is kind of going to be finding yourself like on the team that you're on. 'Cause I think for us, we had a lot of different people playing a lot of different roles. And sometimes the people that didn't have the roles they wanted, like they maybe didn't want to go to practice that day, or like their attitude was bad. And we quickly as a team, like we talked about it and we were like, we're not doing this. Like we're all here together, we're getting this done together. If you're on the bench, that's great. We need a great bench. Like if you're playing for one rotation, that's great. We need you great for one rotation. Like I think as a whole, we're really good at just talking to each other, and role acceptance, I think, is something that is always going to be a struggle for everyone. But once you can have good leaders again and like pull everyone in and make it known that we're doing it together, it makes it so much easier. But I think overall, that's one thing that we're going to have to work on.
Of course, with your premier team, and is it something where you're looking to graduate early next year? Are you going to be graduating in December, or are you going to be graduating all the way in May of your
I
senior?
haven't. I don't know yet. I don't know if I need to talk to my coaches about that, but I've talked to my parents about it, and I would have, I believe, the credits to do it, but we'll have to see if SGCU has programs set up for me to do that.
See, and I was going to ask, do you know at the college level, is that something for volleyball? Of course, like for football, I talk to football athletes as
Mhm.
well. Getting there in spring is very important. Is that something for volleyball that's as important? Or is it something where you're like, okay, they're allowing me to go ahead and live one more time with my premier team at 18s and we got to
Mhm.
go have one more ride? What do you think that looks like for you? Not making a choice, but knowing that the options could be one or the other.
Yeah, I think I was talking to my FGC coaches on my visit actually, and they were kind of talking about it. They said that it is really helpful to graduate early just because you get that experience before we go into season. Because if you graduate at like the regular time, you come in, you're kind of like getting thrown in right away. While if you graduate early, you kind of have that time to figure out where your dorm is, where everything on campus is, and everything like that. So I think it's a lot easier. But I think overall, it kind of just depends on like me, myself, my family, and what we want to do.
Of course, for this year in AAU, it's you're coming closer to the end. What's some of the things that you and your team, of course, going into your first practice coming up? What's some of the things that you look? Is your team pretty much the same as last year? Is there some added pieces, some pieces that come and go? Is the movement on the AAU circuit as much as it can be compared to like college? I mean, look at today. Bergen Riley just put herself in the transfer portal. Like, is it that way for AAU as well?
I think AAU it kind of did shift in Nebraska. I think a little bit. I think 4 years ago we didn't really have that much movement between clubs. We did like the past 4 years like have a lot of movement in clubs. This year, my club really didn't. It was kind of the same people from last year, and we did have a few new pieces added to my team. So I think that's really exciting for us just to be able to grow with new people and see what we can accomplish with these new people.
What's the one thing that you feel is different in the coaching styles that you receive from Papillion, La Vista South, and from Premier? And which ways do they benefit you?
Mhm. I think Tarman is definitely that more like relational type of person. Like she's gonna get to know you inside and outside of volleyball, which I think is really, really helpful. She also um is very visionary. Like she has big goals for us all the time. We talk about our goals all the time. We journal all the time about what we want our goals to be. I think our standards at Papio South are just really, really high, and she always wants us to meet those. I think at club, they're also very relational. Like I've had a great relationship with all my coaches. I think at Premier, it's a lot more technical. Like they're gonna teach you the technical skills of how to play volleyball, which I think is a good thing because club you're there for so much longer than you are with school. So learning the technique of how to play is really, very important. And I think again, like they're very relational. Love all my coaches there. They're very technical based. Um, yeah, that's really it. But honestly, I kind of see like they're kind of the same. Um just entirely. They do the same thing sometimes, and I think that's really good because I mean I love Pepper volleyball, I love Premier volleyball. I love having best of both worlds. So it's great.
Of course, when you look at this season, what was the one thing that you changed with yourself that you haven't seen so far the past 2 years? Obviously, you talked about being one of the leaders, but what did you change for yourself that maybe others maybe didn't notice, but you're able to pick apart for yourself? Because being a player that is always wanting to play at a high level like yourself, I can already tell you're judging, you're looking at yourself more than the average person. And it's not easy, right? But you got to always put that little rose on the top of going, okay, I noticed that I wanted this and I accomplished it, but no one else sees it. Only I can see it. What was your big thing this year?
I think I had two. One was started in the weight room. I just wanted to get a lot stronger, a lot faster. So in the weight room, I was putting extra weight on the bar. I was doing um, reps that were really, really good. Like they had great form every time, just to really build my confidence in my lifting aspect and just getting a lot stronger. And then inside of volleyball, I had to become a lot more like fierce, and I wouldn't say mean. I don't think that's the right word, but I just really had to become like that person. I was like, all right, we're done. Like, let's go. I had to be a little more fiery, I guess you could say, and I think that really helped our team. But yeah, definitely a little bit more straight to the point, not sugarcoating things. Like, we're getting this done because I want to win. So yeah.
Well, you said the fierce part, and of course, I've been around Papio South, for over 10 years with all four of my kids. Of course, I got a DJ when they brought in the teams for ESPN, that was fun. It was different. And when I look at, some of the fierce competitors that they've had, of course, I always think of, who is the one that you would say showed you how to play that fierce for you, that showed you who you had to be?
I think me personally was definitely Cami Deerstad, our libero. She's fiery all the time, all the time. She's a ball of energy all the time, and I love it. And I think actually before I stepped into like that more fiery role, I was kind of the person I was like, okay, well, I need to balance Cami out because she's very like fiery and like aggressive. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to be like the more calm, simple leader to kind of balance it out because I didn't want too much up here, nothing down here. So I think I thought I had to do that. And then I was actually talking to Coach Tarman, and she was like, no, like, we need you to be this because people will follow you. And so I think it was a really good, like, wake up call for me.
When you look across, for high school, not all girls have the same ambition as you and some of the others. And of course, at Papio South, most of them have it, but there are some that don't and are still part of your team. How do you lead by example or lead those girls who might not have the same ambitions, but still able to get the most out of them? Because, like you said, whether it is one set, whether it is one volley, whether it is one opportunity, everybody has that part of the role. What have you been able to do on that factor for your team?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think at the beginning of the season, it's different because we have new girls coming in. They don't really know what to expect. They don't know, like, once they're on varsity, they don't know kind of how we work. I think we have a lot of conversations at the beginning of the season about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, everything like that, just to kind of refresh everyone and bring the new people in. And so we do have, I think we always have people at the beginning that are kind of like down here when the rest of us are up here. But I think it's really easy for us to kind of bring them in with us. I think especially talking to them is really, really important, making sure that they feel wanted. Because I think that's one thing that some people don't really talk about is like it's very easy when you're on a new team to not feel like you belong there or not feel wanted. And in reality, if you're on a team, you're wanted and you belong there. So we'd have to have conversations with people, just bring them in. We have team bonding. So I think that's really important. Is just growing the team side of it so that you can get the most out of everyone because everyone feels comfortable.
Now, of course, you have your senior season coming up. What is the number one thing that you feel you have to adjust for yourself this next year? Of course, being that senior leader, but also being one that has been here before. I think you did a great mention way earlier about you've got to challenge everybody to know that, yeah, we've been here, but you still have to go play, you still have to win, or it could end up like we're out against the Monarchs, which no one ever wants to get out on the Monarchs. We know how that is.
Yeah. I think me going into next season, it's just going to be kind of like tying the knot, like putting a little bow on it. Like everything that I have to do has to be 100% this season because it's my last one. I'm never going to get this chance again to play for Papio South, which is very sad. But overall, like I want to make a statement my last year. So putting everything that I can into my teammates, into myself, into my coaches, and into the entire program, I think is going to be like the biggest thing that I'm going to have to adjust because I think I give a lot every year to this program, but I think senior season, like I have to just give the rest of it to them because I think I owe it to the program and to myself and to my teammates.
Of course, when you look back at, possibly some knowledge or things you could share. If you think of the recruiting process, of course, for you, it's not the same for everybody. But if you could think back to your recruiting process, what's one thing you wish you knew that you might have found out later in the process that you like to make sure the younger athletes see it? And especially in volleyball, because I think just like with football, one, there's only so many girls per team, right? When it comes to college. Two, there's a transfer portal just like anything else. And three, the COVID years are just finishing up. So luckily, when you get to college, those will be done, all those extra years. But I still think it's like a tumble that has to go there where you're like, okay, the opportunities are sparingly still.
Yeah. I think personally for me, the recruiting process was not easy at all. I think I had to learn patience. And one thing that I had to tell myself often was rejection is not failure, it's just redirection. So maybe I don't get the school I want. Okay, instead of like sulking, oh, no one wants me, I suck. Okay, well, now I can reach out to these schools and these schools and these schools based off what I learned from that experience. So I think for me being patient, me saying this is my journey. I don't need to look at anyone else's because they're not me. They're not going to go to the school that I go to. Um, being patient and then just remembering that one no from someone is not the end of the world. I can have so many different experiences with other schools.
What is maybe a little nugget or anything that maybe some upperclassmen who have went through your process have passed on that is a message that you want to continue to pass on, whether it is how to act, whether it is how to be recruited, whether it what's a big thing that you took to heart that your teammates have given you?
Mhm. I think freshman year, especially, we talked about like your image. What do you want people to see you as? What do you like want to see yourself as? We talked about like we have to grow yourself before you can put yourself out there to others because if you don't like what you see in yourself, you can't really share good things with others, you know? So I think for me, especially that year, was just learning how to kind of figure out who I am so that other people can see me the same way that I see myself, which is obviously like I want to be seen as confident, I want to be seen as these things. So just making sure that I can put out a good image to others because I think it's reflective of what you see in yourself.
Of course, not everything is roses and butterflies. What do you think has been the hardest thing these past 3 years for yourself when it comes to the game? And how do you also redirect yourself and find your comfort? Because you don't want to get burnt out. You don't want to keep looking at the same mistake over and over that, it will get fixed with the time that you're growing. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing for me is not adjusting how I work, but it's just like I have to work hard all the time. I think there's always people coming after you, there's always people coming for your spot. So working hard all the time is just really important at a high level. And I think also with me, freshman, sophomore, junior year, having a ton of like friends, them leaving every season is definitely really hard because I feel like I'm like losing my best friends, and, like I'm losing that wisdom when in reality like they've given me best friends and they've given me wisdom to pass on to others. So I think as a whole, just making sure, like, and being mindful of like the good things that happen into. Because once I work hard, then all these good things will happen. So yeah, it's just kind of like a effect.
Year after year, growth after growth. Of course, this year you did a great job of leading your team in multiple categories, and some of them not by small jaunts. What do you credit some of those stats to? Whether it's blocks, whether it's up there in the top three for aces, kills. You're up there. What are some of those things that you continue to work on that maybe someone isn't seeing because it isn't just your reps at Premier, it isn't just your reps at high school. There's stuff that you have to do for yourself to make yourself the player that you are today.
Yeah. Again, the weight room really big. Yeah, I have to work hard in there every day, or else I'm not going to get better. Outside of like volleyball, outside of the weight room, I think at home, like I eat very healthy. I fuel my body with the things that are going to help me perform well, and I take the rest that I need. Like during club season, I'm not going crazy when I get home. Like I'm resting my body, I'm icing, I'm doing whatever I need to make sure that I can perform at my best because it's very hard to fall below what I need to be doing.
What is your go-to to take your mind off of volleyball when you've had that bad day? What's Lyric's thing to keep her mellow and keep her sane when it comes to a sport that can be so demanding at a high speed?
Yeah. I think unseriously, I sometimes just need to take like a 15-minute TikTok break. I'll just go watch some TikTok and then I'll be good. And then another one is I'll just listen to music. I just got headphones for my birthday, and so I'll listen to music while I do my homework. I'll listen to music while I just watch a volleyball game on the TV. So just like things to calm me down and like keep me not focused on the game.
Music. What's in Lyric's headphones when you're pre-gaming or you're in the weight room? What's Lyric's music? What's your choice?
Pre-game, we have a team playlist, and that is crazy. I don't know if I should share. My personal playlist when I'm like chilling at home and listening to music. SZA, Drake, Mariah the Scientist are definitely like my three go-tos. They're very like chill and not all the time what we listen to at school.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you can kind of sit back and enjoy some lyrics instead of always just feeling like you got to go all the way through a wall. Of course, you have a big opportunities that are coming up, but when you think past college and you think of the opportunities that you're seeing out there, and one thing that Wired Access has been a part of is especially the girls sports, the women's sports that are going on beyond. I've covered the Supernovas multiple years. Seeing that around you and seeing um, Nebraska volleyball day in Nebraska, and seeing what has transpired here in state, what has that done for you for the love of the game? And
Yeah.
also, what has that done for you of thinking of beyond college? Because before, those opportunities were there, but they're more in Europe. They weren't something that could be possibly back here in the United States, possibly even back home. You never know. I mean, that's not where you want to go, but you
Yeah.
take the opportunity.
Yeah. I think as the programs have and associations have like came out, I've just kind of I don't know if I guess I'll just start over. I don't know if I do want to go pro after college. I think I need to see how my college career plan pans out first. But definitely seeing like Jordan Larson comes back, Justin Wong-Grantos comes back, and they're playing in the States, I think is really cool to see. And especially since Premier is partnered with Love, so we like get to go to their games and stuff and see all them play. It's very inspirational just because like they're all very empowering women and they've done volleyball for a really long time and they're still going, they're still healthy. And I think just for me, that's very inspirational for me. I just don't know if I would want to pursue that, but like watching it, being a part of it in some ways, definitely something I'm interested in.
Now, watching the game at the college level, what's changed for you in these past couple years with the transfer portal? Are you a type that's watching players? Are you watching certain teams? Are you just watching any volleyball that you can to kind of get some constant seeing of how the game's being played by others?
Yeah. I think as I've grown up, I've just kind of started watching volleyball in general. I mean, obviously the Huskers and the Creighton Blue Jays are kind of my teams that I root for the most just because I'm from here. I love it. But overall, I watch any volleyball game, especially since I've committed to FCU and I watched all of their games on ESPN Plus. I just really like the game of volleyball as a whole. I don't really care who's playing. I'll watch it because I think it's really fun to watch.
Of course, you see the results of actually multiple. I think we had 7 different teams in the top 25 in their respective classes, divisions, whatever you want to call it, across the state of Nebraska alone. When you look at Nebraska as a volleyball state and you think of what you're playing around, but then you also go outside of the state and you see that competition, how do you kind of rate the two for yourself? Because, of course, other girls outside of it see a lot of limelight that is here in state, and they're like, "I that's what I want." You, on the other hand, wanna go be and make limelight out elsewhere.
Yeah. I think obviously when people look at Nebraska as like the volleyball hub of the country, which I think is very much, oh, we deserve that for sure. I think for me, I just knew that like the experiences I wanted were outside of Nebraska. I really love Nebraska. It's like I love it, but I just don't want to be here for my next 4 years, which is completely fine. But I think the limelight that Nebraska has is very important because I think that's kind of what drives a lot of volleyball players and just a lot of athletes in general here. Um, so I think Nebraska definitely deserves the hype. But me personally, I just want to get out, kind of see what else is out there because I think that other places can have just as much light. Specifically, like in club, Texas is really good at club volleyball. Um, they have Texas volleyball there, which is great at the collegiate level too. But I mean, everywhere you go, I think volleyball is just a little bit different. Here, it's just extra special.
Of course, you got your timeline kinda worked out and you're working through all this. Where do you see Lyric and here in just 3 years? Let's just say 3 years. Where are you hoping you're at that point? Whether it's college, whether it is what do you see as a vision for you?
Yeah. I think in the next 3 years, I would want to be like healthy, definitely like healthy, still playing volleyball. I would want to be like knowing what I want to do after college if I choose to not go pro. Knowing like I have a set career that I want, just a stable life that I can kind of lead off into because I think 3 years I'm still young. I still can't have a lot of decisions to make, but I do kind of want to start getting like my life a little bit more together.
Get it all together. Of course, we'll get you out of here on this. When you look at this whole picture of who you are and what you're going to be, what should the fans down there in Florida Gulf Coast know about Lyric? And also, who is your volleyball people that you kind of hold above you that you're constantly watching, whether it is at the college level, whether it is at the pro level, that you kind of look up to not mirror their game, but take strong things for yourself? Because, like you said, you have to work harder. You have to work harder in the weight room and stuff like that. What are some of those that you look up to?
Yeah. I think when I go to FGCU, I just want people like to know me as someone that's really really fun because I really do enjoy like I do. Oh my gosh, I do enjoy having fun. I really like having fun. I really like talking to other people, meeting other people. On the volleyball court, I like to be competitive. I like to win. I like to drive others, and I really love just supporting my teammates. Even if I'm not on the court at FGCU, I will be my teammates' biggest supporters. I think that's so much more fun than people actually realize. Um, I think the people that I look up to the most are probably Jordan Larson, just because she's amazing, like MVP of volleyball forever. Lauren Stivrins is another one that I think she's really, really, really good. And she doesn't play pro, I don't think, but Jazz Sweet was at Nebraska, and I really, really looked up to her when I was little just because she was really dynamic, and I just really liked that. But I honestly look up to anyone that's playing pro volleyball because it's very hard, and I just love everyone that plays it because it's just so inspirational for younger girls.
Of course, when you look at it, what's been a surreal moment for you in the game of volleyball? Of course, you're playing across the country, you're playing across versus some of the best competition. There's scouts there, there's other players there. What's kind of been your surreal moment with volleyball up to this date that you
Yeah.
just is always a fond memory of the game?
I think as a whole, um, all 3 years, state volleyball in Nebraska is truly like no other. I don't think it matters how far you get. Even going down to Lincoln for the first day of state is so, so fun. Just the memories you make there are unmatched, like literally unmatched. I couldn't make them anywhere else. And the people that you get to make them with, especially if your team is as tight as my team is and was, it's unmatchable. You cannot find it anywhere else.
Well, once again, Wired Access, all access granted. We got Lyric Judson here, Papio South Titan 2027, who is going to go to Florida Gulf Coast University. Get ready for season and premiere, but going to bring back another season next year for the Titans. I appreciate your story. I appreciate you just sharing with those girls who hopefully, if we could just find one parent, one athlete, just to check it out and go, okay, I'm right there. There is different parts of these athletes that you could take and run with it because they're willing to share what it takes to be a D1 athlete or an athlete just wants to compete. So I appreciate your time
Yeah.
and good luck this season. We'll be watching from a distance.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, Wired Access. Once again, you can find this series on characterchronicles.com. Make sure to go up to the podcasts, go down Wired Access. Also, StreamYard is always powered by your Omaha Beef, which is a indoor football league here in Omaha. If you don't know, go check them out. Also, check out their show Thursday nights. We'll see you next time.
The standard is the standard. We set the standard.
Hi.